Welcome back, my friends, and welcome to this video. So right now we're going to just go over some of the general terms that you're definitely going to encounter all within the web development process. Now, since you are here taking the HTML and CSS course, congratulations on taking your first steps toward becoming a web developer. So wouldn't it be beneficial for you to learn some of these terms that you're going to encounter all the way throughout, well, the rest of your career, right now, the beginning of the course, when we'll be able to put it all together. So let's just take a look at the W3 Schools website. So you'll see how this site offers online education and resources in web development and programming topics. W3 Schools provides user-friendly and interactive learning materials on web technologies and programming languages. You'll find this site also has extensive content on popular programming languages and web technologies such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQL, Python, PHP, among others. Okay, so here you see the rest of the page. Now, there's a process that leads to this web page appearing on the screen. Bet you didn't know that, did you? That's why it's a real good place to start, just by learning the terms that we're going to use to describe this process. We'll get started here with the client. All right, so the client refers to any device or application that receives services or uses resources over a computer network. The client typically represents the party that requests a specific service or resource by communicating with a server. Now, in web development, the term client refers to the user's computer or browser. So while browsing the internet, your browser acts as a client for websites. The web browser connects to a server, a website server, retrieves pages upon request, and then displays them on the user's computer. So let's continue with this concept of browser. So a browser is a computer program that enables users to navigate the internet, view websites, and access various online content. So web browsers allow users to view the web pages, interact with them, and access various internet-based services. Some common web browsers would include Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, and Opera as well. Web browsers actually allow users to be directed to the desired websites by typing URLs, which is an abbreviation for Uniform Resource Locators, because we don't want to say Uniform Resource Locators all the time. Or you can actually be using search engines as well. Now, browsers interpret web pages using web technologies such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then present them visually to users. So let's answer that first burning question. What is web hosting used for? And why does it make websites accessible? All right, so web hosting refers to the service necessary for making a website or web application accessible on the internet. Web hosting services would include hosting, storing, and making website files accessible. The service is provided by a hosting provider and is typically used through a subscription model or payment for a specific period of time. So the basic components of web hosting go like this. You got your server, where the websites and applications are hosted on a server. The server is just that computer system that stores the files of websites and allows users to access these files. And then you got your storage space. So the server will have storage space to store the files of the website. That's the HTML pages, the images, the videos, databases, all the stuff. So the storage space is typically located in large data centers. Then you got your connection and bandwidth. So web hosting allows a website to be accessible all throughout the internet, right? Therefore, hosting services will provide bandwidth and offers users fast and reliable access. Next, you have your domain name. So in creating a website using a web hosting service, a domain name is going to have to be registered. The domain name actually represents a unique address for a website. Now, what is a web server? So a web server is software or a hardware system that makes hosted websites and applications accessible to users through their browsers. Web servers will work to deliver requested web pages to users and enables them to view the content of these pages. But of course, you say. So why don't we have a look at the basic tasks of these web servers? So you got handling the HTTP requests. So web servers receive and respond to HTTP, and that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So these are requests sent from users, browsers. You got it. Now these requests are usually for viewing a web page or accessing a specific resource. And then you have the action of serving the web pages. So web servers will send the web pages that they store over to the users. And these pages will usually contain the HTML, the CSS, JavaScript, and some other web technologies thrown in just for fun. But that's not all, because they'll also serve static and dynamic content. So web servers can actually store static content, such as HTML files and images, and deliver this content to users who request it. Now, they also support a background language, such as PHP, Python, Node.js, to generate dynamic content. And we'll get into it later. Don't worry too much about it. Because you also have SSL and TLS encryption. So most web servers provide SSL and TLS encryption to secure data transmission between users. And it's provided through the HTTPS protocol. Servers also do a whole lot of logging and monitoring. Web servers track user interactions, record errors, and then store this information in log files. So these logs can be used to evaluate performance and implement security measures. You heard of virtual server and hosting services, right? Web servers can provide virtual server or shared hosting services to host multiple websites on the same physical server. Now, popular web server software includes Apache, Nginx, Microsoft Internet Information Services, IIS, as well as Lightspeed. But all of the variety of software out there have different features and configurations, and then the users can actually choose according to their own needs. But I do want to explain first, before we get any further, what a domain name actually is. So the domain name, or simply domain, just refers to an alphanumeric name that identifies a resource on a computer network or out there on the web. See, domain names are used to represent IP, or Internet Protocol addresses, in a more user-friendly and easy-to-remember format. So a domain name typically specifies the address of a website or the name of an Internet service. So, for example, www.example.com or example.com is just an example of the example.com domain name, right? These names are actually unique identifiers for servers or services on the Internet. You might confuse the terms domain and URL. So why don't we just quickly explain what URL actually means? This Uniform Resource Locator. It's an address system that specifies the location of a resource, the web page, the file, the image, etc., out there on the Internet. So URLs are used to access a specific resource through web browsers or other Internet applications. So URL would include specific protocols. That would be HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, and there are others. The location of the resource, and some additional information required to access a specific resource. So this example URL here, https://www.example.com/page1?param=value. Okay, so now we know what the URL specifically means. I doubt that this is your first time encountering, but it really is important to understand what exactly we're talking about technically. Now, let's have a look, see what happens when we want to access a web page. We'll also illustrate which stages that we're going to learn in this course in the diagram that we're going to create. Okay, so we'll have a broader view of the process, which will indeed help us understand it a whole lot better. But we're going to save that for the next video. I'll see you then.